Well, hello everyone. If you saw my last video, you probably know that Jorvik has been struck by a heat wave, which is currently still ongoing. But I wanted to plan ahead some videos for all of you since I am in big preparations for our first ever pony camp. And as I do not want to bother any of my horses in this heat, this seemed to be the perfect time to tell you all about my riding journey. So buckle up and maybe grab a map because we're going to visit quite a few places. I was born in northwestern Europe in a very small country with horses everywhere. A little like Jorvik in some parts, but definitely not as magical. Being born in a small town in the Netherlands, there were horses everywhere. And if I have to believe my parents, I ran to every horse I saw, which made my future pretty clear from an early age on. So at the age of 4, my dad brought me to a farm of a friend of his, where I had my first ride ever on a cheeky Shetland pony, and for a little while that pony was my source of happiness. I started riding lessons a week before my 7th birthday and started taking care of a pony on my dad's friend's farm. This beautiful New Forest pony called Melody. At this point in time, I only cared about her, riding lessons, and my dog. I wanted to spend entire days with the horses, but money was tight then, and I had to watch my parents scrabble everything together to afford it for me. My sister never was a horse girl, but she loved dancing, which also wasn't cheap. I didn't care for school or my friends there, it never felt like home anyway, which was probably for the better because when I turned 9, my parents told me that we would be moving to live with my different side of our family, my Italian part of the family. We were moving to the south of Europe. Luckily at 9, I didn't understand how big of a change it was, and I just went along. Apparently my dad had a better job opportunity there, and he would join my uncle's business. My aunt and uncle lived on a beautiful property. Together with their friends, they had managed to set up a successful wine brewery and an equestrian property. Which all might sound a little confusing, so let me explain. My aunt and uncle had 2 successful businesses with their friends, but it was too much work, so my mom and dad joined and made it a family business. Are you keeping up? So little me moved with my family to Italy and moved into an equestrian facility, which means that I could even get my own horse, which would have never been an option if we didn't move. The truth was, I never wanted just any horse. I cared for no one other than Melody, who we left back in the Netherlands. My dad tried to show me other horses, but 9-year-old me was apparently a hard egg to crack, and very emotionally attached. So after a few months, my dad had no choice but to arrange for Melody to come to Italy too, and that's where my riding journey took off. I'm still so thankful to my dad that he went through all of that trouble just for me. I started learning the language more, I went to school there and I made friends. And after school, I spent entire days at the stables. I started getting lessons from my aunt and I started progressing. My mom kept telling me that this was an opportunity I would have never gotten otherwise, so I should do my best and make the most out of it. Which is exactly what I did. I took nothing for granted and even started competing. At 12, I went to high school and studied as hard as I could because now that I had this chance, I didn't want to ever let it go. I competed more and we were good, though I did notice that Melody loved other things more. She had a talent for dressage and jumping, but riding bitless and without a saddle was what she wanted most. She was relaxed, happier, and sadly grew older. My priority for her was to feel good and take it easy, so at 14 I stopped my competitions with her. And that's when I started working for my aunt at the stables. She let me try out the new horses she got for her sales barn and trained them to a better level, which brought me back into competing. My riding grew quickly as I got to learn from all these horses. They definitely weren't always the easiest. At the age of 16, I finished high school and started studying to become a vet assistant. I learned so much but kept myself too busy with my aunt's facility. I preferred horses and competing, and eventually found out that no matter how fun it was, the vet assistant life wasn't for me. So after 2 years, I quit and started my study in animal caretaking. I just didn't know what else to study, and I did want to finish school. School was going very well after the switch, and my riding kept progressing. But Melody sadly passed away. To this day, I still miss her, but she was old, and due to an injury, it wasn't fair to keep her alive. So we had to sadly put her down. I have known her since I was 4, and I will always remember her. Even when times got tough, she was there for me, and I was there for her, and I owe my life to her. Then one day, my aunt told me about a new horse she impulsively bought. A fragile, skinny, abused horse all the way from Spain. Cora was a special case. His body was covered in scars and you could almost see all his bones. He was scared and he instantly got me hooked. She said it could be my little project, so I started getting to know him. We had him quarantined for 2 weeks, gave him a dewormer and a lot of food. He had access to hay 24/7, which really seemed to help because he had quite a big appetite, but that was understandable. After his quarantine, we knew we should find him a friend. We put Cora together with another horse, Imperator, who was a little bit of a lonely guy. He was a little scaredy cat, so to say, so he wasn't put together with another horse yet. Cora was scared too, so we went along with him. This was till this day the best thing we could have done for him. Both horses were instantly inseparable and both grew in their confidence. Over time, Cora showed his personality and was quite a feisty guy, protecting his friend from other horses, and if you had gained his trust, he would definitely do anything for you without being scared. This is how we found out that he had a real talent for dressage. Funny thing was, I had never really met Imperator's owner until a few weeks after putting him together with Cora. Lorenzo greeted me while I was letting Cora graze while walking on hand. We started talking and, well, a few months later, we hadn't stopped. I visited a lot of Lorenzo's competitions and started competing with Cora too. Lorenzo was competing at high level, so I started to become his groom, and roles reversed when I went competing. We grew close and everyone already saw it coming, so when I was 19, we started dating. He was 20 at the time. Ever since then, time just flew by. We were full on competing with our horses, but also training my aunt's horses on high level. We got sponsors, bought, trained, and sold our own project horses, and started planning a future. Imperator grew older and had to be retired. Cora didn't like the competing life anymore, so he got retired too from the sport. Both horses are to this day still grazing the Italian pastures together. But Lorenzo and I got an offer last year which we couldn't refuse. Lorenzo's grandfather passed away. He had lived in Jorvik for the last decade, but had owned a similar company to my parents, an equestrian property and a vineyard. Now, Lorenzo and I were and still are very young, so inheriting it and affording it seemed like a downfall waiting to happen. But luckily, my parents, my aunt and uncle did like the opportunity to expand, so they took over the vineyard from afar. And my aunt still helps us with our equestrian property till this day. So we packed up our lives, left our family and the Italian countryside, left our horses to be retired together, and we moved to Jorvik. Lorenzo had one of his project horses come with him from Italy, and I had one of mine. We were left with his grandpa's horse, and the rest came along the way. But all that you can see in my other videos, how I met my other horses, and how we found our lesson horses. What we have built today wouldn't be possible without our family and our sponsors. And we're so happy to have you all now following and joining our journey too. We love you all so much and want to thank you all for the support these last few months. I hope you will stick around to make more memories together, and I hope to see you in the next video.